You can customize the layout in Maya in a few ways. First, we have the workspaces up here, which we already briefly mentioned. Let's just go through some of them. So we have modeling, which is just a preset made for modeling, which just makes it a bit easier. We have rigging, which has some general rigging tools, which makes it a lot easier to do that. We have UV editing, which we're going to be using a fair bit later on. And then we have animation, which also is going to be used a bit later on as well. These are the ones I use the most. Like we mentioned before as well, if you want to go back to it, you go back to Maya Classic. And if you want to reset it, you can just go here and reset current workspace and it will be reset back to the Maya default one. We can also do some more things to it as well. If we go under panels, this is where we have some options. So here we have layouts. And you see if we have, we have like double dotted line here on top here. You see right here. If we click on this, now this will be just popped up and we have access to it now. It's a floating panel. So now we can click here, single pane, 2 panels side by side, 2 panels stacked. This is really handy because now we can change the interface in ways like this, which means, for instance, this here can be a front view, this here can be a side view, and we can have a perspective view somewhere else as well. We can also go in and we can tear off. There's actually tear off a viewport. This is really useful. For instance, if you have a second monitor and you can just drag this over to the second monitor and you can now view the entire 3D scene from a specific view just with, and only the view. It's not a copy of Maya or anything like that. You can also go to panel, and this is where we can set what should this panel actually be. So we can, for instance, set this to be a graph editor, which is going to give us animation tools. We can set this to be panel, and we can set this to be the outliner. Now we have a double outliner, which can also be quite handy in certain cases. We go to panel, and we can set this to be a render view. So now we can just render in this view here as well. So there's a lot of ways we can actually customize it. It's not as flexible as some software. We can literally customize everything, but it's very quick to just drag and drop stuff around like this. And if you want to go back to something else, you can go to save layouts and we can go view single perspective. And then we go back here, view save layouts, and we can do front to perspective. So now just the front view and this perspective view, view save layouts. And we have, for instance, hypershade and perspective. A lot of features we haven't covered yet, but perspective and UV editor. So now we have some pre-made layouts right here. So if you find a layout you really like, you can now go over to Maya Classic, just workspace Maya Classic, and just save current workspace. And you can give this a name here. And this you can load this in every single time you want to do something specific in Maya. So really useful. And also keep in mind that you can also dock these panels around as well. This is what we did with the outliner. And this is also what we did with, for instance, the note editor as well. So you can window, note editor, and you can just dock this in certain places. It's a bit finicky sometimes, but just try it until it works. We can also drag away elements as well. Down here you see we have like a dotted line here. If it's a double dotted line, that means we can move it around. So now we can just drag it out like this, and we can just close it down. So we don't need this for the majority of the work. So we can, for instance, just remove these elements and just close them down like so. And we can create a really minimalistic interface. Now, what I'm doing now is purely for demonstration purposes. We are not going to be actually working with this layout here. This is just to show you that you have a fair bit of power when it comes to customizing it. And now that I screwed up everything, let's go to workspace and reset current workspace. And then we're back to default Maya. So that's how you customize your interface in Maya. Pretty simple stuff, very powerful, and it's going to save you a lot of time.